Number 7. Michele Avila. For almost 3 years, the murder of Michele Avila was believed to have been perpetrated by a group of young men. On October 2, 1985, the 17-year-old's body was found in a stream in Angeles National Forest in LA County. She'd been drowned in 6 inches of water, her hair had been cut, and a 100-pound log had been placed on her body. 2 of her friends, Karen Severson and Laura Doyle, told Avila's family they'd left her with a group of 3 boys in a blue Camaro. They said they'd gone to get gas and returned to get their friend, but she was no longer there. They were also quick to console Avila's family. Severson actually moved in and became a sort of surrogate daughter to Avila's mother. The case went cold. Then in 1988, another teen came forward and claimed that Severson and Doyle were actually the ones who'd murdered Avila. The girls were arrested and convicted of second-degree murder, as the jury didn't believe the murder was planned. It turns out that before they killed her, they'd accused her of sleeping with their boyfriends. They then held her down until she drowned and placed a log on her to hold her body in the water. Severson and Doyle were sentenced to 15 years in prison. Number 6. Murder of Stacey Mitchell. In December 2006, Stacey Mitchell ran away from her family home in Perth, Australia, and went to stay with Jessica Stasinowski and Valerie Parashumti. The 2 young women were in a relationship and obsessed with vampires, sadism, and the occult. After a few days of living under the same roof, Stasinowski accused her partner of flirting with Mitchell. Stasinowski then tried to kill the 16-year-old discreetly by pouring oil on the bathroom floor and crushed glass in her drink. Parashumti, who was 19 at the time, then tried to kill Mitchell to prove to Stasinowski she wasn't attracted to her. One night as the 3 girls were drinking whiskey, Parashumti struck Mitchell in the head repeatedly with a concrete block. Stasinowski then strangled her with a dog chain. As the teenager lay dying on the floor, the 2 women filmed her on a cell phone and kissed over her body. Mitchell's remains were found in a wheelie bin shortly after the murder. Her murderers were subsequently arrested. They giggled, smiled, and whispered to each other during the trial as the details of the murder were presented. Even after their incarceration, they reportedly continued their relationship and spent several hours together every week. Number 5. Murder of Honora Parker. 16-year-old Pauline Parker and 15-year-old Juliet Hume were inseparable and developed an obsessive relationship. Living in Christchurch, New Zealand, they created an elaborate fantasy life together and would write books, stories, and plays about it. When it was decided that Hume would go live in South Africa, the girls were crushed by the idea of not seeing each other anymore. They decided that Parker would join her. The one impediment they saw to this happening was Parker's mother, Honora. The girls then devised a plan to kill her. On June 22, 1954, the girls and Honora Parker went for a walk in Victoria Park. Once they reached a wooded portion on the path, they bludgeoned Honora to death with half a brick enclosed in an old stocking. Covered in blood, they ran from the park and told people that Honora had fallen. The story quickly fell apart once the murder weapon was found and the police noticed major lacerations on Honora's head, neck, and face. The murder inspired numerous works of fiction, including a 1994 Peter Jackson movie called Heavenly Creatures. Official They Will Kill You merchandise is now available at theywillkillyou.com. Some of it is to die for. Number 4. Murder of Victoria Averina. Victoria Averina was described by many as a beautiful girl. In July 2019, her body was discovered in an abandoned building in the city of Arkhangelsk in northern Russia. The degree of mutilation on her body was so severe that the police thought it to have been the work of a mentally deranged man. They soon discovered that 2 teenage girls had been responsible for the killing. Only identified as Lena and Irina, the girls confessed to the murder. They claimed they'd killed Averina to punish her for what they perceived as arrogance regarding her beauty. Averina and the 2 16-year-olds went to the same school and she'd reportedly bullied them because of their looks. They lured the girl to the building under false pretenses. They then took turns holding her down and butchering her face with a glass bottle and several other objects. After they were done torturing Averina, they strangled her to death. Number 3. Murder of Angela Wrightson. In her neighborhood of Hartlepool, County Durham, England, Angela Wrightson was well known. The 39-year-old had a fondness for alcohol, which earned her the nickname Alco Ange. She was estranged from her family, pestered by local children, or taken advantage of by people who wanted to drink in her home. In December 2014, two girls aged 13 and 14 asked WRIGHTSON to buy them alcohol. The woman agreed, and the three of them started drinking at her apartment. The teens, only identified as Olivia and Yasmin, took pictures and posted them on Snapchat as the night went on. Then at one point, they both attacked WRIGHTSON. They struck her with a shovel, a piece of wood with protruding screws, a TV set, and other objects from her home. As they were viciously beating the woman, the teens kept posting on social media. After they killed her, they called the police and asked for a ride home. It was later discovered that the teens came from broken homes. They'd spent time in foster care, where they were violent and abusive towards other children. Number 2. Murder of Shanda Shearer. In 1992 in Indiana, 4 teenage girls were involved in the brutal torture and killing of 12-year-old Shanda Shearer. All 4 girls had self-harming tendencies, and some had been the victims of violence and sexual abuse. Such was the case of 16-year-old Melinda Loveless. She was the one who plotted to kill Shearer after she became involved with a girl she'd once dated. On January the 10th, 1992, Loveless got into a car along with 17-year-old Lori Tackett, Hope Rippey, and Tony Lawrence, both aged 15. Loveless had a knife with her and claimed that she only wanted to scare Shearer. She hid under a blanket in the car as they drove to pick her up. Once Shearer was in the car, Loveless sprung out of the back seat and began to question her about her relationship. That's how the teenager's night of unrelenting torment began. Shearer sobbed and pleaded with the others to take her home, but they only mocked her. They took Shearer to a wooded area where Loveless and Tackett ordered her to strip naked. Loveless then started brutally beating Shearer with her fists. Afterwards, she and Tackett took turns stabbing the 12-year-old in the chest. They tried cutting her throat, but the knife was too dull. They strangled Shearer with a rope until she became unconscious, then threw her in the trunk of the car. Afterwards, they drove to Tackett's house. While they were there, Shearer came to and started screaming for help. Tackett opened the trunk and stabbed her a few more times with a paring knife. The girls then drove on, but Shearer continued to make crying and gurgling sounds in the trunk. Tackett then beat her with a tire iron until she was silent. Shearer was still alive a few hours before daybreak when the girls took her to a field north of Madison. Rippey and Tackett wrapped Shearer in a blanket, poured gasoline on her, and set her on fire. All 4 girls then went to McDonald's, where they reportedly started joking about the murder. Number 1. Murder of Skylar Neese. Skylar Neese, Rachel Schoaf, and Sheila Eddy were close friends and attended the same high school in West Virginia. When Neese went missing in July 2012, her friends consoled her parents and even helped them post flyers about her disappearance. The FBI and West Virginia State Police had initially considered Neese a runaway, but soon the dark truth emerged. Schoaf told the authorities that she and Eddy had been plotting to kill their friend for months. On July the 6th, even though they'd recently had a falling out, the girls convinced Neese to sneak out of her bedroom and join them for a drive. They arrived at a spot where they'd occasionally smoked marijuana together. Schoaf and Eddy had kitchen knives concealed, as well as bleach, paper towels, clean clothes, cleaning cloths, and a shovel in the trunk of the car. On the count of 3, a signal they'd established before, they started stabbing Neese. They attacked her until the girls stopped making any noise, after they'd inflicted over 50 stab wounds. They then covered her body with branches, changed their clothes, and returned to their homes. When asked what they did, the girls claimed they didn't like her and didn't want to be friends with her anymore. However, the real reason might have been that Eddy and Schoaf were trying to cover up their love affair, which Neese knew about. Thanks for watching. Be sure to click on one of the links on your screen to watch more videos.